The silent approach, the border of Krillian space stretched across 3 star systems, each one heavily fortified with weapons platforms and patrol fleets. For 200 cycles, no enemy had dared to challenge their dominance. The Krillian Dominion stood as one of the galaxy's most feared military powers, their reputation built on ruthless efficiency and overwhelming force. Their warships gleamed with polished armor, each vessel a testament to their engineering prowess and martial pride. Commander Vexthor stood on the bridge of the battlecruiser Iron Talon, his 4 eyes scanning the holographic display before him. The starfield appeared calm, showing only the usual traffic of mining vessels and trade ships moving through designated corridors. His mandibles clicked together in satisfaction. Another peaceful rotation, another day of unchallenged supremacy. The Krillians had heard whispers about humans over the past few years. These strange bipedal creatures from a distant world called Earth had begun establishing colonies in the outer regions. Most Krillian officers dismissed them as insignificant, barely worthy of attention. Humans possessed only 2 eyes, no natural armor, and fragile bodies that seemed unsuited for the harsh reality of space. They were newcomers, primitives playing at civilization, while true powers like the Krillians shaped the galaxy's destiny. Vexthor had reviewed the intelligence reports about humanity with mild curiosity. Their ships were crude, their weapons conventional, and their military doctrine appeared scattered and unorganized. The tactical analysts concluded that humans posed no threat to Krillian interests. If anything, they might become useful subjects once the Dominion decided to expand further into their territory. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, monitoring sensors and maintaining patrol patterns that had remained unchanged for decades. Young officers learned by watching their superiors, absorbing the confidence that came from serving in an undefeated fleet. War was something that happened to lesser species, not to the mighty Krillians. A soft chime interrupted the routine silence. Sensor operator Krelvan's antenna twitched as he leaned closer to his console. His voice carried a note of uncertainty that immediately drew attention. "Commander, I am detecting unusual readings at the edge of our scanning range." Vexthor's primary eyes focused on the operator, while his secondary eyes continued monitoring other displays. "Define unusual." "Multiple contacts, sir. They appeared suddenly, as if emerging from sensor dead zones. I count 15 vessels, possibly more. They are maintaining a loose formation and moving toward our position at moderate speed." The commander felt a slight tension in his thorax, an instinctive response to potential threat. He had experienced this feeling only twice before in his long career, both times preceding significant combat engagements. "Identification?" Krelvan's fingers danced across his console, requesting data from the automated identification systems. Seconds passed. The response should have been instantaneous. "Sir, the vessels are not responding to standard identification protocols. Their transponder signals are either absent or being actively blocked." Vexthor straightened, his posture shifting from relaxed observation to alert command. "Communications, attempt contact on all standard frequencies. Weapons bring defensive systems to standby status. Do not activate targeting arrays yet." The bridge atmosphere changed subtly. Officers sat straighter, their movements becoming more precise. The casual confidence remained, but underneath it lay the trained readiness of professional warriors. Communications Officer Thelrix worked his station with practiced skill. "Broadcasting on all channels, Commander. Standard greeting protocols in 12 major languages." He paused, listening intently to his equipment. "No response, sir. They are receiving our signals but providing no acknowledgement." The tactical display updated as more sensor data compiled. The unknown fleet had grown larger, as additional vessels emerged from whatever concealment had hidden them. 20 contacts now, then 30, then 50. Each ship maintained precise spacing, moving with a coordination that suggested advanced navigation systems and disciplined crews. Vexthor's combat instincts awakened fully. No pirate fleet operated with such precision. No merchant convoy traveled without responding to patrol inquiries. These vessels belonged to a military force, one capable enough to avoid detection until choosing to reveal themselves. Analysis. Give me ship classifications and threat assessments. The tactical officer, a veteran named Drakmil, studied the incoming data with increasing concern. "Commander, the sensor returns are inconsistent. The vessels appear to employ some form of electronic countermeasures. I cannot obtain clear readings on their power signatures or weapons loadouts." Hull configurations are unlike any known design in our databases. Best estimate, Vexthor demanded. Drakmil hesitated only briefly. Based on size and mass, I would classify them as capital ships. Cruiser to battleship class. But sir, their energy signatures are dampened far below expected levels. Either their reactors are running at minimal output, or they possess shielding technology that masks their true capabilities. The commander processed this information rapidly. An unknown fleet of capital ships, approaching Krillian territory without identification, employing advanced stealth technology. The logical conclusion formed with uncomfortable clarity. Sound battle stations. Activate all defensive systems. Bring weapons to full readiness. Alarms blared throughout the Iron Talon and transmitted to the surrounding patrol vessels. Crews rushed to combat positions, trained responses overriding any questions or confusion. Within moments, the entire Krillian border fleet had shifted to war footing. Shields flared to full strength. Weapons charged and targeting computers began calculating firing solutions. The unknown fleet continued its approach, unhurried and methodical. They made no aggressive moves, but neither did they slow or alter course. The silence from these vessels felt heavier than any threat transmission. Whoever commanded this force possessed enough confidence to ignore Krillian challenges completely. Vexthor opened the fleet-wide channel. All vessels maintain defensive formation. Do not fire unless fired upon, or I give explicit orders. We will demonstrate strength, but we will not initiate hostilities against an unidentified force. His words carried command authority, but underneath lay caution. Something about this situation felt wrong in ways he could not immediately define. The tactical display showed the Krillian fleet arranging itself into a proven defensive configuration, one that had turned back 3 attempted invasions over the past century. 18 warships formed overlapping fields of fire, creating a barrier that should deter any rational enemy. Behind them, weapons platforms added their firepower to the defensive network. As the unknown vessels drew closer, visual sensors finally captured clear images. The bridge crew fell silent as the first detailed pictures appeared on their screens. The ships were unlike anything in Krillian databases or even in the collective knowledge of the galactic community. Sleek black hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making the vessels appear as mobile voids against the starfield. No decorative elements adorned their surfaces, no proud emblems or national colors. These ships had been designed with singular purpose, war. Their lines suggested speed and maneuverability, while their visible weapon ports indicated devastating firepower. Most unsettling was their absolute uniformity. Every vessel matched its companions perfectly, suggesting industrial capacity and organizational discipline of the highest order. Commander, Krelvan's voice had dropped to barely above a whisper. I am detecting additional contacts. The fleet is larger than initially assessed. Current count exceeds 100 vessels, with more still emerging from sensor shadow. 100 warships. The number exceeded the entire Krillian border defense fleet by a factor of 5. Vexthor felt his combat certainty waver for the first time. No known power in this region could field such an armada. The logistics alone would require decades of preparation and resources beyond calculation. Commander, Belrix called out. I am receiving a narrowband transmission. Audio only, brief message on repeat. Play it, Vexthor ordered. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in flawless Krillian language. The tone carried no emotion, no anger or fear, just cold statement of fact. This is the Terran Defense Fleet. Your border incursions into human colonial space have been noted and documented. Your attacks on civilian vessels have been recorded. Your threats against peaceful settlements have been logged. We do not seek war, but we will not tolerate aggression. Stand down your weapons and withdraw beyond the neutral zone. This is your only warning. The transmission ended, leaving silence in its wake. Vexthor's mind raced through the implications. Humans, the primitives, the weaklings, the species that every intelligence report had dismissed as negligible. They had assembled a fleet of this magnitude. They had technology that exceeded Krillian sensors. They spoke with the voice of power rather than desperation. Sir, Drakmil's voice cut through his thoughts. They are deploying into attack formation. The tactical display showed the human fleet executing a complex maneuver with frightening precision. Ships split into multiple groups, each unit positioning itself to create overlapping fields of fire while maintaining mutual support. It was a textbook assault formation, one that maximized offensive capability while minimizing vulnerability. Whoever commanded this fleet understood advanced military tactics at a level that matched or exceeded Krillian doctrine. Vexthor made his decision. Pride demanded he stand firm, but wisdom recognized the situation had shifted beyond his initial assessment. Broadcast response. We are representatives of the Krillian Dominion. These systems fall under our protection. We will not withdraw based on unsubstantiated claims from an unknown force. Even as he spoke the words, part of him questioned the wisdom of this stance. The humans had delivered their warning with the calm certainty of those who held superior position. They had not come to negotiate or posture. They had come prepared to enforce their demands. The human fleet stopped its advance at weapons range, their formation now complete. Vexthor studied the tactical display, his experienced eye recognizing the mastery in their positioning. Every human vessel had clear firing lanes. Their formation allowed for rapid maneuver while maintaining concentrated firepower. Whoever had trained these commanders understood the brutal calculus of space warfare. Minutes passed in tense silence. The Krillian fleet held its defensive position, weapons locked and ready. The human fleet waited with mechanical patience, their black hulls seeming to absorb hope along with light. Then, without warning, without dramatic countdown or final ultimatum, the humans attacked. The first volley came from every vessel simultaneously, a coordinated strike that demonstrated both their communication systems and their tactical integration. Brilliant lances of energy crossed the void, moving faster than Krillian point defense systems could track. These were not the conventional plasma weapons common throughout the galaxy. These beams possessed coherence and power that exceeded anything in Krillian arsenals. 3 Krillian destroyers vanished in the opening seconds, their shields overwhelmed and hulls vaporized before crews could even scream. The defensive formation that had stood unbroken for a century shattered like glass under a hammer. Vexthor watched in frozen horror as his fleet began to die. "Return fire," he roared. "All vessels engage at will." The Krillian warships unleashed their weapons, centuries of military tradition and pride pouring forth in torrents of plasma and kinetic projectiles. Their guns had leveled cities and broken enemy fleets. Their missiles carried warheads capable of cracking moons. Their beam weapons could slice through any known armor. The human ships danced through the barrage like shadows in wind. Their engines produced thrust that defied Krillian understanding of physics, allowing acceleration and maneuvers that should have torn their hulls apart. Advanced electronic warfare systems confused Krillian targeting, making locks difficult and solutions uncertain. When Krillian weapons did connect, they encountered shields that absorbed damage with disturbing efficiency. A human battleship emerged from the formation's center, larger than the others and bristling with weapons. Its primary cannon charged with visible energy, a building glow that lit the surrounding space. Vexthor recognized the signs of a capital ship-killer weapon, the kind used to eliminate the heaviest targets in a single shot. "Evasive maneuvers," he screamed. "Get us!" The weapon fired. A beam of such intensity that it appeared solid crossed the distance between ships in an instant. It struck the iron talons' forward shields and burned through them like paper. The beam carved through armor, through bulkheads, through systems and crew and structure. The mighty battlecruiser, pride of the border fleet, broke in half. Vexthor felt the deck lurch beneath his feet as catastrophic damage warnings flooded his console. Emergency lighting activated as main power failed. The bridge filled with smoke and the screams of the dying. Through failing monitors, he watched his fleet being systematically dismantled by an enemy that had been dismissed as primitive. His last conscious thought, as explosive decompression began tearing his section of the ship apart, was a simple recognition of truth. The humans had not struck first out of aggression or recklessness. They had struck first because they could, because they had prepared, because they had decided that the Krillian Dominion would learn a lesson the galaxy would never forget. Humanity had come to war, and they had come to win. The unstoppable storm, the wreckage of the Iron Talon tumbled through space, 2 massive sections trailing debris in frozen atmosphere. What had been the most powerful warship in the Krillian border fleet was now nothing more than scattered metal and extinguished lives. The human battleship that had destroyed it moved forward without pause, its weapons already targeting the next victim. Across the battlefield, the remaining Krillian vessels struggled to comprehend what was happening. Their formations had disintegrated under the initial assault. Ships that had patrolled together for years now found themselves isolated, surrounded by human warships that moved with predatory efficiency. The confident warriors who had begun this day expecting routine patrol duty now fought desperately for survival. Sub-Commander Rathnell assumed temporary fleet command from his heavy cruiser, the Adamant Shield. His bridge crew looked to him for orders, their faces showing the same shock and fear that gripped his own hearts. He had served under Vexthor for 12 cycles, learning from one of the Dominion's finest tactical minds. Now that Mentor was gone, vaporized in seconds by weapons that should not exist. All remaining vessels consolidate on my position, Rathnell transmitted, forcing his voice to remain steady. Reform defensive sphere. Concentrate fire on individual targets. We can still salvage this. The surviving Krillian ships attempted to execute his orders, their captains clinging to training and doctrine when nothing else made sense. Destroyers and frigates burned their engines at maximum thrust, trying to reach the rally point before human weapons found them. Some made it. Others died in brilliant explosions as human fire tracked them across the void. 8 Krillian warships managed to form a rough sphere around the Adamant Shield, their combined shields creating overlapping protective fields. It was a defensive formation designed to hold against superior numbers, allowing concentrated return fire while protecting the most vulnerable vessels. In simulations and previous battles, it had proven nearly impregnable. The humans adapted in seconds. Their fleet split into 3 distinct groups, each one maneuvering to attack from different vectors simultaneously. They showed no hesitation, no need for extended communication or debate. Every ship knew its role and executed without wasted motion. It was coordination that spoke of countless training hours and battle computers working in perfect harmony with human commanders. Target lead vessels in each group. Rathnell ordered. Full broadsides. Show them we still have fangs. The Krillian sphere erupted with weapons fire, plasma cannons, and mass drivers pouring death toward the approaching humans. It was an impressive display, the kind of firepower that had broken enemy attacks throughout Krillian history. Energy filled the space between fleets, creating a barrier of destruction that nothing should have survived. The human ships entered that storm of fire and emerged intact. Their shields flickered under the impact, energy dispersing across protective fields that bent physics in ways Krillian scientists had theorized but never achieved. A few vessels showed minor hull scoring where shields had momentarily failed, but none broke formation, none retreated. None showed any sign of significant damage. Impossible, whispered the tactical officer. Our weapons should be tearing them apart. What kind of shielding technology is this? Rathnell had no answer. He watched helplessly as the human groups closed to optimal firing range, their weapons ports glowing with building energy. Brace for impact. Redirect all available power to forward shields. The human counterattack came with calculated brutality. Rather than spreading their fire across multiple targets, each human group focused on a single Krillian vessel. 3 ships died simultaneously, their shields overwhelmed by concentrated fire before their hulls were systematically torn apart. The defensive sphere collapsed as gaps opened in its coverage. A Krillian destroyer attempted to break away, its captain perhaps hoping to escape and bring warning to the home worlds. 2 human frigates pursued with impossible speed, their engines producing thrust that violated every known principle of Krillian propulsion technology. They caught the fleeing destroyer within seconds and bracketed it with weapons fire. The destroyer's shields failed, its engines exploded, and its hull cracked open like an egg. Rathnell realized with cold certainty that no escape was possible. The humans had come prepared not just to fight, but to ensure total victory. Their jamming systems prevented long-range communication, blocking any calls for reinforcement. Their superior speed meant no Krillian vessel could outrun them. Their weapons and shields outclassed everything the Dominion could field. This was not a battle. It was an execution. All ships, emergency protocol, he transmitted. Scatter and engage independently. Make them work for every kill. Die with honor. The remaining Krillian vessels abandoned formation and burned in different directions, each captain choosing their own doom. Some charged directly at human ships hoping to inflict damage in suicide runs. Others tried to use the debris field from destroyed vessels as cover. A few attempted to surrender, broadcasting ceasefire requests on all frequencies. The humans showed no mercy to any of them. Ships that charged were destroyed at distance, their hulls punctured by precision fire before they could close to ramming range. Ships that hid were hunted down systematically. human sensors detecting them through debris that should have blocked all scans. Ships that surrendered were given moments to power down weapons before being destroyed anyway. The humans apparently unwilling to leave any Krillian vessel operational. The adamant shield found itself alone. The last functional warship in what had been a proud border fleet. Rathanel watched the tactical display as human vessels formed a loose circle around his cruiser. They maintained careful distance, weapons tracking his ship but holding fire. It felt like being surrounded by predators deciding how to finish wounded prey. A transmission came through, the same emotionless human voice that had delivered the initial warning. Krillian vessel adamant shield. Power down all weapons and shield systems. Prepare to receive boarding parties. Your crew will be taken as prisoners of war and treated according to galactic conventions. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction. Rathanel looked around his bridge. His crew watched him, waiting for orders. These were good officers, skilled warriors who had trained their entire lives for combat. They deserved better than to die in a hopeless last stand. They deserved to survive, to return home, to tell the Dominion what had happened here. Weapons power down all offensive systems, he said quietly. Shields reduced to minimum navigational screens. Communications, broadcast our surrender on all channels. Some crew members nodded in relief. Others looked away, unable to meet his eyes. All understood that survival today meant bearing the shame of defeat. The Krillian Dominion did not produce survivors. It produced victors or honored dead. Those who surrendered carried marks that never faded. The adamant shield's weapons went dark. Its shields collapsed. The proud warship hung in space, defenseless and beaten. Human boarding craft launched from nearby vessels. Small armed transports that approached with weapons ready. They docked with practiced efficiency, cutting through airlocks when they found them sealed. Rathanel stood from his command chair as armed humans entered the bridge. They wore powered armor that enhanced their already impressive height, making them appear like mobile fortresses. Their weapons tracked every movement, ready to respond to any threat. Despite their fearsome appearance, they moved with discipline and control, securing the bridge without unnecessary violence. The lead human removed his helmet, revealing a weathered face with calculating eyes. He studied the Krillian officers with the gaze of someone evaluating property rather than defeated enemies. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. I am Captain Torres of the Terran Defense Fleet. This vessel is now under human control. Your crew will be processed and transferred to holding facilities pending diplomatic negotiations. Resist and you die. Cooperate and you live. Choose now. Rathanel clicked his mandibles in the Krillian gesture of submission. We surrender. Do not harm my crew. They followed my orders. Torres nodded once. Smart choice. Maybe you'll get to see your home again someday. He gestured to his soldiers, who began efficiently restraining the bridge crew and securing control systems. Beyond the adamant shield, the human fleet had completed its systematic destruction of Krillian forces. Every warship was now destroyed or captured. The weapons platforms that had guarded this border for 2 centuries were reduced to expanding clouds of debris. The battle had lasted less than an hour from first shot to final surrender. The human fleet regrouped with the same precision it had shown throughout the engagement. Damaged vessels moved to the rear for repair assessment. Fresh units took forward positions. The entire armada maintained combat readiness, prepared for reinforcements that never came. The Krillian jamming had been so complete that no word of the battle had escaped to warn the home worlds. Aboard the human flagship, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display showing the battlefield. Her staff worked efficiently around her, processing data and coordinating the fleet's next moves. She had spent 3 years planning this operation, studying Krillian tactics, preparing her forces for this single decisive engagement. Status report, she requested. Her tactical officer responded immediately. All hostile forces neutralized. We have captured 1 Krillian heavy cruiser intact with full crew, 37 other vessels destroyed. Our casualties: 2 frigates with moderate damage, various minor hits across the fleet. No ships lost. Total human casualties: 23 killed, 67 wounded. Chen absorbed the numbers with grim satisfaction. 23 lives lost to save millions. The Krillian raids on human colonies had been escalating for months. Civilian transports destroyed, settlements bombarded, thousands of innocent people killed. The Dominion had believed humanity too weak to respond, too frightened to challenge their power. Today, humanity had answered that arrogance with overwhelming force. Not because humans were naturally aggressive or warlike, but because when pushed, when threatened, when left with no alternative, humanity possessed the capacity for devastating violence. The Krillians had learned this truth at terrible cost. "Open a channel to High Command," Chen ordered. "Inform them that Operation First Strike is complete. The Krillian border fleet has been eliminated. We are proceeding to Phase 2. Her communications officer worked his console. "Channel open, Admiral." Chen's voice carried across light years, transmitted through quantum-entangled systems that made real-time communication possible across vast distances. "Command, this is Admiral Chen. Target neutralized. Moving to establish defensive perimeter and await diplomatic response." The message has been sent. And what a message it was. Within hours, news of the battle would reach the Krillian homeworlds through independent observers and neutral parties. Within days, every major power in the galaxy would know that humanity had struck first and struck with overwhelming superiority. The species dismissed as primitive newcomers had just destroyed one of the galaxy's most feared military forces without breaking stride. The political implications would reshape galactic power structures for generations. Some species would seek alliance with humanity, recognizing strength worthy of respect. Others would view humans as the new threat, the rising power that upset established order. The Krillian Dominion itself would face a choice: sue for peace and accept diminished status, or escalate to full war against an enemy that had proven their technological and tactical superiority. Chen hoped they would choose peace. She had seen enough death today, but if the Krillians chose war, humanity would meet them again with the same preparation, the same precision, and the same overwhelming force. Earth had learned the harsh lessons of survival in a hostile galaxy. Humans would never again be the weak, the frightened, the victims. Throughout the human fleet, crews celebrated their victory with quiet professionalism. There was no excessive joy, no wild cheering. These were military personnel who understood the gravity of what they had done. They had killed today, destroyed ships, and ended lives. That burden would stay with them regardless of the righteousness of their cause. But beneath the somber mood lay deep satisfaction. They had proven something important not just to the galaxy but to themselves. Humanity could stand against any threat. Human ingenuity, determination, and courage could overcome any challenge. When pushed to the edge, when threatened with extinction, humans possessed the capacity to strike back with devastating effectiveness. In the holds of various ships, Krillian prisoners sat in shocked silence, processing their defeat. Many had believed their own propaganda about human weakness. Now they knew different. They had felt the precision of human weapons, witnessed the superiority of human technology, and experienced the discipline of human tactics. These prisoners would return home eventually, carrying with them a truth the Krillian Dominion needed to hear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as supplicants or victims, but as warriors. The age of dismissing Earth as insignificant had ended in fire and wreckage above this border system. Any species that threatened human interests now did so, knowing they faced an enemy capable of devastating retaliation. The human Warfleet remained in position for 3 standard days, establishing a perimeter and waiting for response from Krillian High Command. Small courier ships from neutral species passed through, documenting the battlefield and recording statements. The evidence of human victory was undeniable. The debris field told its own story. On the 4th day, a Krillian diplomatic vessel arrived under flag of truce. Admiral Chen met with their representatives in neutral space, aboard a station maintained by the Galactic Arbitration Council. The Krillians came offering terms, seeking peace, acknowledging that continued conflict would only bring more destruction to their forces. Chen listened to their proposals with the calm demeanor of someone who held superior position. She agreed to peace, but on human terms. The Krillian Dominion would recognize human territorial claims, cease all hostile actions against human interests, and pay reparations for previous attacks on civilian targets. In exchange, humanity would return prisoners and withdraw military forces from Krillian border space. The agreement was signed, sealed, and transmitted throughout the galaxy. Humanity had fought one battle and won not just a tactical victory, but strategic position that reshaped galactic politics. The humans who had been dismissed and attacked had proven themselves capable of defending their interests with overwhelming force. Admiral Chen returned to her flagship and prepared for the long journey back to human space. As her fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the battlefield behind, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had been forced to show its fangs today. The galaxy had learned that humans, when threatened, would strike first and strike hard. The enemy never had a chance because humanity had learned the most important lesson of survival in a hostile universe. Overwhelming preparation combined with decisive action wins wars before they truly begin. The Krillians had attacked human weakness. Humanity had responded by revealing strength the galaxy never suspected existed. And across 1,000 worlds, species that had once ignored or dismissed humanity now watched Earth with new respect, new fear, and new understanding. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.